Welcome to ACT Expo 2021. This is our 10-year anniversary from when we first launched here in Long Beach in 2011. It is really great to be here live and in person, even though we're all masked. It's fantastic to get back to an in-person event. For those that have been with us over the last decade, since 2011, you know that the show has continued to grow bigger and better every single year, and there's no doubt that this show will be the best yet. We have just about 5,000 people have registered for the show, which is a 25% increase from the last time we were here in 2019. Registrations really ramped up in the last couple of weeks. I think there was maybe a hesitation to sort of see what was going to happen, and then finally people said, all right, it's happening, let's go. So we're really, really excited at the incredible turnout. As you all saw on Friday, this transformed us into a mega indoor event under the state protocols for COVID, and so that required us to move forward with our vaccination checks and our negative COVID test plan. So thank you all for being so cooperative with that. I really appreciate. I think the 99% of the people have just been thanking us for adding these measures, and we appreciate your support. We know it was very last minute. But to be able to pull that together to make sure that this event was as safe as possible, given the circumstances, we really thank you all. So thank you. I don't think I have to tell anyone in the room what an incredible last couple of years it's been. In spite of the tremendous challenges that we've all faced over the last 18 months, we've seen just incredible growth. And I attribute those growth to sort of three primary factors. One, regulatory activity. We see an increase in regulation happening at the local, the state and federal level, and even at the international level, right? Here locally in Southern California, we see policies being put in place to move commercial transportation to cleaner technology, near zero emission and zero emission. And then all the way up on the international level, we see countries, I think most recently Canada, have put in place just plain and simple combustion bans to say after date certain, usually in that sort of 2040 horizon, we're just not going to allow combustion vehicles to be sold anymore. So that regulatory driver, I think, is one of the things that, obviously those that are selling into this market have to take notice of and begin planning for. Number two, it's been really incredible to see the commitments around corporate sustainability, to cleaner supply chains and to net zero emissions. There are a number of companies out there that are making these commitments. Giant names like Pepsi, Walmart, Amazon, Target, and many, many others that have said by, again, in that kind of 2040, maybe 2050 time horizon, they'll have zero emission supply chains, zero emission fleet operations, net zero corporate emissions, or some form of those sorts of commitments. So huge commitments. Of course, that's all in addition to what we see around the country, major metropolitan transits that are also all committing to zero emission fleet operations over the next several decades. So that commitment around environmental sustainability is, I think, the second real big driver that is a noticeable change from years past. And three, as we'll see, no doubt on the show floor, I was down there earlier, it's incredible, but reflective of just a massive amount of investment that's happening in the space at every level imaginable. All of the traditional OEMs are pouring literally billions of dollars into these programs, different from anything we've seen in the past around something, non-combustion, non-petroleum technology development. We have capital coming in from all sorts of different areas. Of course, we've got massive investments from government agencies. We have private capital coming in. We have venture capital. We have private equity. We've seen in the last year or two a huge number of SPACs and IPOs. I think I saw a stat that there's been more SPAC activity in the last year than there has in the history of SPACs combined. So just amazing to see the billions and billions of dollars being invested into this sector, and that's reflected, and we see that in the products and the technologies that are being built to meet the forward regulatory horizon and the customer commitments around sustainability over the next several decades. I don't say this lightly in light of the storm in Louisiana this week, but I look at this as a perfect storm opportunity, right? Of all these different factors, the billions of dollars of money being poured in to make these products and the technologies that the buyer has said, we want to buy, right? We want this to be our future fleet. And of course, that's all being backstopped by a very strong regulatory environment to help ensure that we get there. We saw just a half an hour ago with our JETSI announcement with the partners CARB, CEC, AQMD, the ports, NFI, Schneider, Volvo, and Freightliner, and many more, that these things are starting to become reality, right? And as I said, we'll see this in the expo hall floor, which is just an explosion of technology. Really, really amazing down there. So it's an exciting time in the industry. It does, to me, it feels like the beginning of the end of the petroleum-based transportation era. That, we've talked about this for a long time. We've had this conference for 10 years. We've had conferences before that was smaller scale, which, this was all sort of, feel good, nice. We're trying to do the right thing, but it does feel like there's a real groundswell and a true revolution that will take place between now and 2050, where we will move on from petroleum-based transportation into renewable fuels, low-carbon fuels, and zero emissions. It's sort of hard to think like we can really do this in the next 30 years. But as we look back, we've done this before, right? It took about 30 years for the horse and buggy to be completely replaced by combustion technology from about 1850 to 1920. A bit larger scale these days, but it is possible with all these factors. It's hard to imagine that this kind of transformation could really happen. And we know, why we come here. There are far more questions than there are answers right now, which is why we have events like ACT Expo, right, is to help answer questions that we have. And hopefully, we pride ourselves on trying to provide the best technical conference in the industry to provide answers to questions that you might not even know you have. Yesterday, I think, was a great example of that. We started off with a number of workshops. We had our annual ACT Expo Investor Summit, which kudos to the Meritor team for inspiring us to launch this last year. Obviously, we had to do that virtually, but nonetheless, we got it started, and we had the in-person yesterday. We had our battery technology workshop, which we've been doing for a number of years, that looks at training, ultra-fast charging, secondary use applications, end-of-life recycling, all these questions about battery tech. Absolutely packed room, as always. What do we have, 600, 700, 800 people in there? Just incredible. Which was our very first session, and when I sort of stood at the back of the room and looked at 800 people sitting together, I was like, whoa. It's been a while since we've done this, but nice to see. We had our first ever TRU workshop, which looked at zero emission for transportation refrigeration and cold transport and trailers. We had various workshops with our partners, NACFE, the Electrification Coalition, and CHBC, which I didn't get a chance to see it, but I understood it was standing room only plus, kind of spilling out into the hall and a lot more. Last night, we had an opportunity to recognize some of the real fleet leaders that have been out there at the forefront as part of our annual ACT Expo Fleet Awards reception, which was sponsored by PERC, so thank you, PERC. We recognized a number of fleets, and I just want to mention them here because they've been doing really tremendous work. Laser Spot, Fulton County Schools, Electrify America and their partner Gig Carshare, Port Authority of New York, New Jersey, Anheuser-Busch, Purolator, and Penske. Great to recognize companies just doing such significant and important work out there with their fleet operations. So congratulations to all those companies. Just a quick round of applause for all of them. And then we closed the night with what I thought was a great show from Albert Cummings, some good blues. We're out there just catching up with people that we haven't seen face to face in a long, long time. There were a few adult beverages consumed and just a good, relaxed night as the sun set here in Southern California. So I thought it was a great night, way better than a Zoom happy hour by like 1,000. So we really appreciate everyone coming out for that. So let's get started here. We've got a really great show, another great program lined up. The show floor is bigger and better than ever. As you saw just outside, we've stretched beyond the exhibit hall. We're now spilling out onto the concourse. We've been busting at the seams. We have more than 250 exhibitors. Again, like our attendance, that's up about 25% from 2019. And unfortunately, we actually were not able to accommodate. We had a wait list of about 40 people that we couldn't accommodate them on the exhibit room floor. But we do have plans for 2022, so don't worry, we'll get you taken care of. We'll get you to the front of the line. I want to thank in particular our presenting sponsors, Daimler Trucks North America, Penske Transportation Solutions, and Shell. We really appreciate their leadership with the ACT Expo conference. Here we have leading OEM, leading fleet, leading energy provider. It's a great combo on the banner to really help push this show forward. So thanks to DTNA, Penske, and Shell. We really appreciate it. Quickly, before we get started, I want to mention the mobile app. If you haven't downloaded it, I really recommend that you do it. It's a great tool to navigate the next couple of days of the show. Just take out your phone, go to the App Store, search for ACT Expo. We also have signage throughout the venue that has a QR code to make it even easier. If you have the app from a prior show, you may have to delete it and reload it. I know it took me a time or two to get it figured out. You're going to have to enter your name, email, and it will send you a verification code to your email that then allows you to log on. But once you're in there, you got a map of the exhibit hall, a list of all the exhibitors, the full agenda, all the speaker bios. You can actually connect and sort of chat with other attendees. You can mark the program of which sessions that you want to go to, so it'll then remind you when they're taking place. You can take notes in there, all kinds of neat things. It'll also tell you we have a number of new products and new technologies that are being announced throughout the show down on the exhibit hall floor, and it will notify you of those if you're interested to go check those out. So definitely download the mobile app and use that for the next few days here. Okay, so let's get started. As has been the custom here for the last 10 years of the show, and even before that, the predecessor to ACT Expo, it's my pleasure to bring up to the stage a representative of the South Coast Air Quality Management District. We have a member of their governing board. Many of you know the South Coast AQMD is arguably the most important and progressive public agency in the clean vehicle transportation space today. They've been a tremendous partner to us here at ACT Expo and many of the other projects that we do on the consulting side of our business, including that JETSI project that we just announced this morning. As you all know as well, South Coast has played an extraordinarily important role in the development of more clean vehicle technologies than we can count. I think it's fair to say that they've been pretty directly or indirectly involved in the development of just about everything that we have downstairs showing here today at the show. Representing the agency, we're thrilled to have Gideon Krakov, who's the governor's appointee to the South Coast AQMD Governing Board. In addition to this role, Gideon also sits on the board for the California Resources Board, or CARB. Not sure what he did to get sentenced twice, but he's got his hands full, certainly, with these two positions. All joking aside, I've gotten to know Gideon over the last year or so, and I can tell you I am very, very seriously impressed. Gideon has taken it upon himself to roll up his sleeves and dig in and try to find out what the right answers are. I can tell you from firsthand experience, he gets out into the field. He's not just sitting on the dais listening to staff presentations. He gets out there, he flies to the OEMs, he goes and meets the fleets, he spends hours in their yard talking to the executives, to the drivers, to the technicians, to the fuelers. He's out there on the front lines. He was here all day yesterday, sitting in the battery tech workshop, trying to learn, trying to soak it in, having meetings, truly, truly engaged. It's inspiring. It really gives me great hope. Here is a representative of two extremely important governing boards. They are making humongous decisions about the future of the industry. So to have Gideon out there really at the front lines is really great to see. Aside from his position, which is a volunteer position, mind you, with CARB and South Coast AQMD, Gideon is a New York-born, Los Angeles-based environmental lawyer. So he knows about these issues, and he asks really good questions, very aggressive questions. He also knows a bit about the trucking industry. For 15 years, Gideon was the general counsel for the California Waste and Recycling Association. So again, he's out there on the front lines in the refuse industry, dealing with their issues and understanding what's important to them to run a successful business. Beyond all these credentials, Gideon is a fellow New Jerseyite, which is really important for me. But he's just a good guy, a really good guy, working hard in the position that he's in, as I said, to find the right answers for the future of clean transportation. I could not think of a better speaker to get us started here today. So please help me welcome to the stage Gideon Krakov. You want an elbow bump?
Thank you for that, Erik. It's all lies. As Erik mentioned, it's so nice to be here in person. I think this is the first time I've worn a tie in 2 years. And you all, What's the expression? You all look marvelous. I sit as Governor Newsom's appointee to the governing board for the South Coast Air Quality Management District and the California Air Resources Board. For those of you that aren't familiar with the South Coast AQMD, we are the local agency that regulates air quality in Southern California. We cover Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, and San Bernardino counties. That's more than 18 million people. Our mission is to clean the air for what the Clean Air Act calls criteria pollutants, like smog, as well as air toxics, and protect public health through practical and innovative strategies. And that's the key word here for this expo, isn't it? Innovative. The South Coast AQMD has primary authority over stationary sources, smokestack emissions. But it's actually the mobile sources, the cars, the trucks, ships, construction and cargo handling equipment, that make up more than 80% of our air quality problem here in the South Coast. One of my fellow AQMD board members, Supervisor Rutherford, Janice Rutherford from San Bernardino, is here, and she can tell you about some of the opportunities and challenges in her part of the district. And that's also where the California Air Resources Board comes in. CARB's mobile source and climate-oriented regulations to make engines cleaner, more efficient, as well as investing in zero emissions technologies with world-leading incentive programs. Yesterday you heard about the ambitious agenda from CARB from our new chair, Leanne Randolph, who I think is in the room today. Under Governor Newsom's Zero Emission Vehicle Executive Order, we will support market development, ensure we have grid capacity and charging infrastructure necessary, of course, and prioritize equity and environmental justice in every step. So, just last year, our CARB board approved the Advanced Clean Trucks regulation, shaping a cleaner future of medium and heavy-duty transportation. The Clean Trucks rule asks the OEMs, many of you here today, to deploy more than 300,000 zero-emission trucks in our state by 2035. Now, this rule will only be a success with the innovation of the people in this room who are working so hard to develop a technology that will transform how we move goods. And this coming year, CARB is working on the Advanced Clean Fleets rule. The Fleets rule will create markets for the technologies being showcased today down on the floor: the medium and heavy-duty trucks, buses, and last-mile delivery vehicles. Now, this is not going to be easy. I have history in fleet rules, as Erik mentioned, representing Southern California waste recyclers and haulers for years, and helped them transition the collection vehicles from diesel to near-zero CNG more than a decade ago. It took time and a massive financial investment, a mix of regulation, incentives, and again, innovation. Some were on the bleeding edge. Anybody in this room sometimes feel that way? But we pulled it off, and a lot of you helped. These are now perhaps the largest clean fleets in the world, and industry is so proud of the work that we've done. In the upcoming Fleets rule, we at the Air Board will approach the challenge the same way, working with all of you to obtain our clean air objectives. And this time, we're going to be assisted by huge incentive investments at both the federal level and in our new state budget just signed by Governor Newsom. So, I sit on the South Coast AQMD and California Air Resources Board, two big state agencies, LA and Sacramento. And my job is to ensure they coordinate, agree 100% of the time, always, on everything. Very easy, right, Erik? To show that cleaning the air and protecting your lungs goes hand in hand with the climate work and the deployment of clean technologies. We're all here today at the Long Beach Convention Center, where we're close to two of the largest ports in the United States. I love Long Beach. Vice Mayor Rex Richardson from the city also is on our South Coast AQMD board, or a regional board. Get out there if you can. It's amazing. Look at the cranes, the ships, the bridges, tens of thousands of containers. In fact, 40% of all the goods moved in the United States come through our ports. We're so proud of that. And we know that the ships, the trains, the trucks moving all those Amazon packages also move something else: smog and diesel particulate pollution. Progress has been made on air quality, no doubt. But we all agree more is needed. We owe it to the communities here at the ports and near the warehouses in Riverside, San Bernardino, to work as hard as we can to get more clean trucks on the road and support the infrastructure that's going to be needed for this transition. We just finished this media event announcing a first-of-its-kind project that will deploy 100 zero-emission trucks. These trucks will travel from the ports to the facilities in South El Monte in Ontario, visiting warehouses that are going to be incentivized by South Coast AQMD's new warehouse regulation to invest in zero-emission equipment and infrastructure. Now, this outside JETSI is the largest deployment of electric trucks of this size, Class 8s, in the United States. And again, we take the lead here for innovation in California, our golden state. How about an applause for our state here? Come on. And of course, thank you so much, NFI, Schneider, Daimler, Volvo. The South Coast AQMD and CARB cannot succeed without these kinds of PPP private-public partnerships. Since 1988, South Coast AQMD has provided over $340 million in funding, with project partners for over $1.5 billion in technology demonstration projects, to many of you, working with many of you. So, over the course of this expo, on the floor, you're going to get a hands-on look, not just at the future, but technology available for commercial use and being deployed right here in Southern California today. I'm really inspired by the attendance here right now, by your attendance. I don't know if you can tell, pardon the pun, but the energy in the room, the investment, the innovation. So in closing, this transition to a green economy is not going to be easy. We at the Air District and at the State Air Board, we know that. But we would not want to be working on anything else. I think a lot of you feel the same way. It really is the work of our lifetimes. So thank you for being here, and look forward to talking with you later.